My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire.
Yeah.
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like, you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing. Well,
several months later,
there's this hope that, I mean, the 20 hostages, the living hostages are home. So that alone is such a tremendous victory. But there is a real feeling that the bloodshed in the war is actually over. So I'm just praying that that's the case.
Me too.
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the reactions to the president of peace, President Trump, finally bringing an end, or at least as of right now, an end to the conflict between the Israelis and Hamas, okay? There's a ceasefire in place. Now, these leftists have been boo-hoo-whining and crying about a ceasefire, how there's a genocide, how Israel needs to stop, how the Palestinians need to stop being murdered, killed, right? This is what they've been screaming about for the last, 2 years straight, right? And now all of a sudden they've gotten what they want, but for whatever reason, they're just not happy. They're not happy about it.
In old-fashioned lifestyle. Look at this. This is ridiculous. And this is what they're returning to. And by the way, let's also say this. If anybody is celebrating at this moment, when this is what has already happened to Gaza, that takes a special kind of sickness. It really does. The idiots like that trigonometry dipshit, the idiots like Piers Morgan, who's out there and they're like singing Trump's praises. Really? Even if you take the best interpretation of what they're doing with this peace agreement, even under the best interpretation, this is hardly something to fucking celebrate. But also they're lying, and so that's not what's going to happen.
This is not a peace plan. This is a business deal, and it's another crime against the Palestinian people. If it works, and that's a big if, Gaza will become a colony of the US with Israel maintaining all access to it. There's been a growing backlash around the world, we've seen it, right, against the genocide in Palestine, and so Trump has been absolutely desperate to just get a deal done. But this deal is being done on Trump's terms, right, not on terms for the Palestinians. We can't trust imperialists to broker any kind of real peace. The 20-point plan was actually drawn up by Jared Kushner, who's Trump's son-in-law and a billionaire. He's a real estate investor. He was helped by the Tony Blair Institute, the war criminal who's already played an absolutely outrageous role across the Middle East. Under the peace plan, Palestinians will be allowed to stay in Gaza, but under the control of these staff businessmen. This is the role of Trump and Tony Blair and people like this. It would be under their authority. Nothing about this is the freedom for Palestine that we've all been fighting for. In any case, although the agreement has been reached, Netanyahu has made it clear that he doesn't really like the plan and he's going to try and get out of it.
Yeah, so again, it is really beyond me, okay, in regards to how these individuals who spent the last 2 years kicking and screaming and crying about a genocide, right, claiming that a genocide is happening, and the day that the genocide comes to an end, the killing stops, these people are still mad, they're still upset, they're still finding something to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about, right? It's almost as if they never actually gave a damn about the Palestinians, okay, that they were using the Palestinians for their own personal brand building, right? Because that's what it's really about. Who can virtue signal the hardest about being pro-Palestine, right? I mean, that's just like a leftist thing, right? You have to be pro-Palestine in order to be considered a leftist, right? But again, it's all about their own personal gain. It's not about the Palestinians or their lives, because you would think that these people would just be happy. Just be happy. Just shut the fuck up, right? For one day and just show some gratitude. Be thankful, right? Be thankful that the president has brought the killing to an end. But no, leftists can't do that, right? They have to say, well, the deal is fake. Israel's not going to uphold their end of the deal. It's a bad deal for the Palestinians. Well, if the Palestinians aren't being killed anymore, right? I think that's a good deal for them, okay? I think that's a great deal, right? Any deal that includes the Palestinians not being killed, right, I think is a great deal. But, you know, apparently leftists don't think so, right? They think that it's much better for the Palestinians to continue to get slaughtered so that, you know, people like Cal Kalinske and leftists can continue to virtue signal off of their deaths and to make a whole lot of money off of it and not do a damn thing to actually help the Palestinians in any material way. That's why these people are so upset about there being peace, right? The genocide being over. So with that being said, that leads me to Alyssa Farah Griffin, okay, on The View, who is a Never Trump host on The View. She made a promise, okay, back, I believe in December, that if President Trump can somehow have the hostages released, the Israeli hostages released, then she will wear a MAGA hat on the show, right? She wear a MAGA hat on The View. Now, I want to react to this episode taking place on the same day that the hostages were released. I want to see what Alyssa Farah Griffin has to say and whether or not she's going to wear this MAGA hat, because she's now facing some pressure to wear this MAGA hat to uphold her end of the bargain of this bet that she made. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
There was a lot of anticipation and celebration this morning because after 2 years of captivity by Hamas, the 20 remaining living Israeli hostages were released and are reuniting with their families. Here's a few of the emotional reunions captured on video. Take a look. And this was the scene at the Israeli parliament just a few hours ago. Take a look.
After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change, and change very much for the better. Now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over.
So 1,700 Palestinian prisoners have also been released and reunited with their families. And as of this morning, there is no fighting in Gaza. And so I think we can all pray that it stays that way. Yeah. So there we are.
And
again, notice who gives the president credit and who doesn't, right? That's what I want everybody to pay attention to, okay? Because all of this is happening because of Trump. Are these people, right? Are the cackling hens going to actually give the president the credit that he deserves?
That's exactly right. Listen, if this peace deal holds, which I pray that it does, it's historic. It is a massive diplomatic achievement. And I think the whole world can breathe a sigh of relief because for many of us, knowing people who were, I met with some of the hostage families and how hard this was for them for the last 2 years. There's not a Jew across the world who didn't feel personally impacted by the events of October 7th. And these 20 that were released, never knowing if they would get that day. There's also the remains of hostages that are going to be repatriated to Israel. And then for the innocent Palestinians who've been caught in the crossfire of this war that Hamas, a terrorist organization, started, they are getting aid. They're promised 600 trucks of food per day are going to be rolling into Gaza. So people who have been starving, who have had no reason that they should have been involved in this conflict, are going to get the aid they need. I think everyone should be able to celebrate it. And listen, whether you like Trump or not, I think Steve Witkoff and I think Jared Kushner do deserve credit for this deal. They actually personally met with Hamas. I used to be of the mind we don't negotiate with terrorists, but sometimes the only way to get peace is to sit down with some of the most evil people and try to come up with what we can do to end the bloodshed. So thank God, I pray that this peace holds. Yeah.
Wow. What about that MAGA hat, though? Right? What about wearing that MAGA hat, though?
Thank you, President Trump.
That's what I want to know about. Alyssa, are you going to wear the MAGA hat? Because there's a lot of pressure on her to uphold her end of the bargain, right? Trump Jr. goads View host to uphold bet on if Trump gets all the hostages freed. Donald Trump Jr. called Alyssa Farah Griffin's bluff Monday, reminding the View co-host of a bargain she made last December, sending this to the top. Let's go, Trump Jr. wrote, along with a post of the View clip. Yeah, so she claimed that if President Trump can get the hostages out.
To be apocalyptic. It's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire.
Yeah.
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
I know she'll knock it right off my head. But like, you have to be able to cheer for wins.
Yeah, I need her to do it, right? I need you to do this, okay? I need you to do this. I don't think she's going to follow through, right? I really don't. I don't think she's going to follow through. I don't think she has the cojones to do it. And the reason why is because the cackling hens would get upset. But again, it shows you everything you need to know about this show, right? In the sense that if she actually did wear a MAGA hat on the show, how they be losing their minds, right? They probably refuse to go on air, right? They refuse. Sonny would refuse to go on air. So again, we haven't heard anything about whether or not she's going to wear the MAGA hat, but the internet is asking, okay, when are you going to wear that MAGA hat? Regardless, I will say that she did give Trump credit where credit is due. And let's see what the other hosts have to say in regards to giving Trump credit. Because, again, you can't talk about this, like, honestly, without actually giving the president credit for making this happen.
And knowing that Hamas has no power, one thing they kept sticking on every time these ceasefires didn't work is they did not want to cede power because they had their tunnel system and they were using their citizens as human shields, and the devastation, they did not want to hand it over, and then they were destroyed. They really had no choice, but I think the speech we saw today is going to hold to account also Prime Minister Netanyahu, because Donald Trump went on record saying there are things that Israel now needs to do as well. So this deal was a compromise. Neither side got everything they wanted, but most importantly, those hostages are home, aid is flooding into Gaza, and Hamas has no power ever again in that area.
You know, I'm cautiously optimistic because we've been here before and then it's gone wrong, and I pray that this time it's different. I stayed up last night until, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning watching the first batch of hostages as they were released, and I love that there was a split screen that was showing the joy of the hostages being released, but also the throngs of people from Gaza walking back, a sea of people walking back into that city that's rubble. And you think of all the suffering, just 2+ years of relentless, unending, unimaginable suffering. The families suffering, the victims suffering, the hostages suffering, the people who've had to flee Gaza, the innocent ones suffering. And for what? For what purpose? Were these 2 years of such pain? So, you know, honestly, let me just quote John Lennon. Can we please just try to give peace a chance?
Yeah, but see, we didn't really have a chance of peace until President Trump got in office. And that's why, again, I think that it is very telling that these cackling hens are refusing to give President Trump credit where credit is due. Anna Navarro, yes, I know you hate Trump, right? But again, you can't sit here and to talk about how much you're happy that there's peace, but yet, again, you're not thanking the president. You're refusing to acknowledge the president's role in making it happen. Again, these people should be ashamed of themselves.
I think we've said it all. It's just, as a faithful person, it has been my daily prayer that there be peace there. And I remain a faithful person that this truly is the dawn of peace in the Middle East. I truly hope that this will be a lasting peace there.
And also, it's good to be able to say to people, remember, the Palestinians are separate from Hamas.
Yeah.
Remember, they were not able to vote. They could not do anything. They had no rights in their country. So it's good that we have all been able to say, oh, okay, that's the difference here. The winners are now all the families who get to come home, all the families who are gathering their people to them. That's the win. So yeah, let's hope, like Walter Cronkite used to say when I was little, on Christmas Eve, he would say, tonight, there is peace in the world.
Yeah.
So right now, we're saying, today, tonight, there is peace in the world.
Yeah.
Also, we were...
Yeah, thanks to your president, right? Thanks to your president. But only about one of these calculating heads, Alyssa Farah Griffin, I guess Sarah Hayes kind of did a little bit. Only one of these calculating heads had the cojones to, acknowledge the president's role in all this, right? It's just funny because Biden, their Lord and Savior, couldn't get it done, right? He couldn't get it done. But President Trump can get it done. And again, they don't have anything to say. Shows you, man, the Trump arrangement is crazy. It really is. They didn't even mention Trump's name. They didn't even mention President Trump's name. But if a Democrat had done this, if Kamala Harris had done this, if Joe Biden had done it, they'd be talking about how Biden and Kamala were so important to getting the deal done and how great of a job they've done. Even though, again, this has been going on for 2+ years under the Biden-Harris administration. We all know that they would be singing the praises of Democrats had they been in charge and made this happen, but they didn't make it happen, right? And this is why Democrats deserve all the backlash. They deserve all the backlash that they're getting from the far leftists due to the fact that apparently this was something that could have happened under Democrats. They just couldn't get it done. And I think ultimately this really does show you how weak the Democrat Party is, how weak their leadership is. This is why, part of the reason why their base is abandoning them, right? This is why there is a far left takeover of the Democrat Party, is because of the fact that Democrats are just weak. And President Trump getting this done while Democrats were unable to get it done, despite massive pressure from their base, shows you how weak the Democrat Party currently is. So again, that's probably why you're seeing a lot of supporters of the Democrats and the Democrats themselves refusing to give President Trump credit, because giving him credit, telling the truth about why this actually happened, the X factor and all this, again, just it looks bad for them, right? It is a bad look for the Biden-Harris administration. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.